Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So, the MAGA movement is just disintegrating. It is falling apart before our eyes. I mean, are we shocked? Right? Like, oh, who could have guessed that a movement led by nothing but sociopathic narcissists and filled with sociopathic narcissists would eventually implode? I mean, it's a shocker. So, anyway, I have a bunch of stories to share with you guys about Marjorie Taylor Greene, Roger Stone, MAGA podcasters like Tim Pool, Milo Yiannopoulos, blasts from the past. And for those who don't know, this has been going on for a while. There are a bunch of MAGA civil wars that are all taking place simultaneously. So you have bigot Nick Fuentes. He's feuding with all of the pro-Zionists on the right, as well as some of the, very few non-racists in the base. He was just on Piers Morgan's show last night, admitted that he's a racist, admitted that he's never had sex with a woman. I mean, maybe he'd be happier if he came out of that closet. I don't know that he's gay, but 27 years old, you never had sex with a woman, you might want to consider it. Anyway, and then, you have some in the MAGA base who want to still pretend that they're not racist. So they're, feigning outrage at him. Anyway, Candace Owens is beefing with everyone involved in Turning Point USA. She's beefing with the pro-Zionist wing of the party and other MAGA podcasters, including Tim Pool, because she's questioning the narrative about Charlie Kirk's death. And in fact, Tim Pool, he just had a meltdown on his show yesterday, and he called other MAGA influencers fucking evil, psychopaths, and scumbags. Those are direct quotes. So I'll show you an article here. He said all of this because it's not just Candace Owens who's not buying the official story about Tyler Robinson shooting Charlie Kirk. Although Poole is directing the majority, I would say, of his venom and his rage at Owens, but he's calling out everyone, and he's saying, oh, a bunch of you will talk shit about her behind her back, but then, you don't call it out. You don't say anything. You guys are a bunch of, wimps and you're weak, blah, blah, blah. But then he called Candace Owens a degenerate C word. Now, he didn't say C word. He actually used the full word. If I do it, this video will probably get demonetized, so I'm not going to do that. But anyway, speaking of Tim Pool, he recently had MAGA's former token gay man, Milo Yiannopoulos. They have some others now, but he had him on his show. And Yiannopoulos, as you guys may know, he claims, oh, I've prayed the gay away. I'm not gay anymore. It's like, okay, guy, really? But now he's throwing out accusations against other MAGA influencers and claiming that they're closet homosexuals. So this all went down with George Santos on board. He was there also on the show. And so Yiannopoulos has mentioned this before, but he's now naming names. He is going hard against these people. So on Pool's show, Yiannopoulos said, quote, one of the most distinctive things about the right wing in this country is its homosexual overtones. Benny Johnson posts pictures of his children every 2 days. It's weird. And everybody knows what went on with Benny Johnson in those lobbies and those hotel rooms at SAS, which is the Student Action Summit that's hosted by Turning Point USA. And then he went on to say, quote, everybody knows Men, younger men, not underage, at least I don't know that. His wife was crying drunk in the lobby 3 SASs in a row about how her husband was upstairs with boys. So Yiannopoulos then said he also thinks, quote unquote, that Charlie Kirk may have been on the down low and that Kirk and his wife Erica were planning to get divorced. That's what he said. I have no knowledge about any of this. I'm just repeating what he said. Could all be BS, but Benny Johnson is now threatening to sue Yiannopoulos. And Yiannopoulos basically tripled down on this. And he told Johnson essentially, bring it on. In a post on Twitter, Yiannopoulos wrote in part, quote, I know more about your marriage than you think I do, and I have evidence and I have witnesses. I know who to subpoena. I know what questions to ask about nocturnal liaisons dangerosos, or dangerouses, I guess, with chaps in assless chaps. Chaps in assless chaps, okay? And about being caught in flagrante delicto, flagrante delicto at conferences attended by students, some of whom may have been under 18. I guess we'll find out. Discovery will destroy your career beyond any possibility of redemption, Benny, which was never my intention and never in my heart, because I believe that family is making you a better man. So then Yiannopoulos starts trolling him. And he posted a bunch of screenshots, but he posted them of old articles that Johnson wrote. So for anybody who doesn't know, Benny Johnson used to write for BuzzFeed News. He used to be a staff member. So Yiannopoulos posted this, among other things. This is one of the articles that Benny Johnson wrote back in 2014. 8 sexiest bachelors of Congress, DC, let these beefcakes warm you up. Okay, I'm sorry. But what straight man is writing this? Like, I don't care. Like, you do you, guy. You be you. I could care less what your sexuality is. I have many gay friends, but it's like, come on. Really? Like, could it be any more obvious? I don't know. He could be straight as an arrow for all I know. But anyway, these people are just tearing each other apart, and I'm I'm loving it. So anyway, Tucker Carlson is also at war. He's, warring and fighting with some of the MAGA group for platforming Fuentes and for rightfully questioning our fealty to Israel. And trust me, I can't stand Tucker Carlson. His laugh creeps me the fuck out, but he's right about that. And then it seems like loony Laura Loomer, she is in a fight with basically everyone. Like, she can't get along with anyone in MAGA. So she's fighting with all of these other MAGA media figures who, basically just anybody who isn't a complete Israel puppet. Also, about half or more of the MAGA base has now turned on Marjorie Taylor Greene, because as you guys all know, she had that big falling out with Donald Trump. And as you guys may have heard, Greene was interviewed on 60 Minutes. Now, I can't play any of it for you because I will get hit with a copyright strike, but she was asked on the show, did you cave? Did you allow Donald Trump to run you off? And she said, no. That's not the way things went down. That's not what I decided. She started saying, part of the reason was she started getting all these death threats. And she talked about bomb threats that she received. She got death threats against her son, which she attributed to Donald Trump. So take a look at this article. Basically, one of the threats contained the phrase Marjorie Trader Green. So that was the exact phrase that Trump used. This just goes to show that the psychos are on the right. The psychos are Donald Trump supporters, because I have been calling her that exact same thing for years, and I can guarantee you that none of my viewers have sent her death threats. And, you can say, oh, well, Donald Trump is, he just has a bigger following and more people and, he has more sway. But of course, absolutely. I mean, I'm like a small fish in a big pond. But still, it just, he uses the same phrase and she gets death threats. And so Green told Leslie Stahl, who interviewed her, that she reached out to Trump and JD Vance. JD Vance said, hey, we'll look into it. We'll get back to you. Trump replied, and she said that he, quote, wasn't very nice. And so when Leslie Stahl pressed her for details and said, like, oh, can you give us just some idea of what Donald Trump said? Marjorie Taylor Greene said, quote, it was extremely unkind. That's all she would say. Now, she admitted that Trump was very pissed at her for signing the Epstein discharge petition. That tells you everything you need to know right there. He apparently argued with her about it, and he told her, quote, people will get hurt, meaning if the Epstein files are released, people will get hurt. Now, she said she doesn't know who they are. He didn't elaborate, but, who is it that he's protecting? We know he doesn't care about anybody else, so he's obviously protecting himself. And then Green specifically denied being MAGA, which was very interesting, right? She has been everywhere in her MAGA hat. I mean, she wore it to the State of the Union, which is really not allowed. And she's never been seen pretty much without her MAGA hat. And now she's saying, no, I'm America first. She repeatedly said that in this interview. Are you MAGA? No, I'm America first. So anyway, when Leslie Stahl kind of pressed her on that issue, she said in a nutshell, like, oh, MAGA is Trump's slogan. That's his policies. And then she confirmed that Republican lawmakers talk shit about Trump behind his back. So Marjorie Taylor Greene told Leslie Stahl, quote, I watched many of my colleagues go from making fun of him, making fun of how he talks, making fun of me constantly for supporting him, to when he won the primary in 2024, they all started, excuse my language, Leslie, kissing his ass and decided to put on a MAGA hat for the first time. So they're all talking smack about Trump, and then he wins the primary, and they're like, oh, yep, I'm MAGA, I'm hardcore, I'm with you all the way. Never felt any different. So anyway, Leslie Stahl asked her, are you going to run for another office, or you have more intention to be in the public eye and run for anything? She says no. She swears she has no intention of doing that. She has no plans. In any case, I see posts from previous Marjorie Taylor Greene supporters like Cat Turd, and they're calling her out for missing recent votes in the House. They're like, oh, she didn't even show up this entire whole week, but yet she had time to go do a 60-minute interview. What did these people expect? Right? Like, Trump shit all over her and sicked his, psychopathic, sociopathic base on her, and they're threatening to murder her son What did they expect? I wouldn't have done anything different. Be like, oh, no, you want to get things passed now? You want to pass your agenda? Good luck with that. Have fun. Anyway, in any case, there's a new MAGA brawl that erupted over last weekend. So Laura Loomer is pissed off at Tucker Carlson because he has ties to Qatar. And apparently he's buying a place there or something. So anyway, Loomer, as I'm sure you guys all know, she is an avowed Islamophobe. So it wouldn't matter what country it is if there are Muslims there, she would be slamming him. So she slammed Carlson on Twitter. And her once ally, her apparent ex-friend at this point, Trump humper Roger Stone, he decided to get in on this. He decided to jump in and defend Tucker Carlson. He also threatened to expose Loomer's grift. So Roger Stone posted on Twitter, this is the article about it, and he wrote, quote, due to the ability to quite legally obtain all of Laura Loomer's bank and financial records offshore very soon, you'll know exactly who's paying her and why. Tucker Carlson will always be Laura Loomer's intellectual superior, and no amount of her annoying whining will ever change that. Laura Loomer and Tucker Carlson are both longtime friends of mine, but Laura needs psychiatric help for her obsession regarding Tucker. Frankly, if I were him, I'd sue the fuck out of her because there is not a lawyer in the United States willing to defend her. See a shrink, Laura. You ain't right in the head. I mean, so many people I never thought I'd agree with, right? Never thought I would see the day that I would agree with anything that Roger Stone had to say. But yeah, he's right about Laura Loomer. It's that, old clock is right, broken clock is right twice a day adage. So the rats are biting each other. They are biting and attacking each other. It is a beautiful sight to behold. I'm thinking that the MAGA movement is going to end up being like bell bottoms. I was thinking about this the other day, right? Like bell bottoms, they largely vanish. And then every once in a while, they make a brief comeback, and people think, oh, I've discovered the next big thing. This is so cool. Nobody's ever done this before. And then people go, oh my God, this is ridiculous. We look so stupid. And then it dies out again. So MAGA is the new bell bottoms. MAGA is the bell bottoms of 2025. All right, guys. Anyway, I will let you know if I hear any more. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.